What up guys, Mako here. Before we start covering the material for this video, I want to talk about how I got here and why I'm making this in the first place. So Fracture is an amazing Roblox game. I used to play Breaking Point quite a bit, back when it was actually fun, but after that I just kind of forgot about it. It was always taken over by hackers, so there was no point in me trying to go back to it. So when I came across Fracture for the first time, I was met with this feeling of nostalgia of the game I once loved, except this time with a very refreshing twist. You see, Fracture kept that basic idea of Breaking Point and just built upon it with these new mechanics and game modes. It kept me addicted. Not only that, but I had the opportunity to talk to developers and the other team members that contributed to this game, and they were all incredibly nice. That was another reason why I wanted to keep grinding this game. And after playing this game for a while, I picked up a few techniques and habits that helped me win more games. And I don't want to gatekeep them, which is why I have a series of tips, tricks, and some random facts for this game, to which most of them will be accompanied by some clips that I've gathered. As the current top 1 player, who recently hit 2,000 kills, 1,000 wins, 100 levels, and 60 laser guns, I think I'm pretty qualified to make a video like this. By the way, I say current top 1 because once I'm occupied with school, work, or other activities, I'm definitely going to lose that spot. With that being said, let's get started. I first want to talk about the movement in this game, because there's quite a variety of it. So you have your basic movement, which includes walking, sprinting, rolling, and wall running. But it gets more complicated than that. First up, we have the timvault, which was created by Tim, but supposedly first discovered by Digi, but that's a topic for another time though. What we need to know about the timvault is that it sends you a lot farther than a normal roll, and is relatively easy to pull off. I'll show you how to do it, but I recommend watching Tim's video on it as well. So for a standard timvault, you want to be in either shift lock or first person, and then what you want to do is walk back, and then jump and roll at the same time as you're walking back. And again, this sends you much further than a normal roll. There's also another variation of the timvault where you can just stand still and then jump and roll at the same time. It sends you the same distance and it doesn't require you to be in shift lock or first person. The timvault is very good because being able to launch yourself very far can help you escape bad positioning and aggressively engage at someone with a knife. The next two mechanics deal with wall running. When wall running, you don't have to just run forward. You can also run backwards, or if you run into the wall by running sideways while wall running, you kind of just sit there. And this is what I like to call wall clinging. Now as far as I've tested, this wall cling isn't very useful, but you can still hit some cool clips with it, so that's a plus. Another small thing you can do is what I like to call a wall hop. So basically, while you're running along a wall, you can flick your mouse and jump to do a short hop to the side. I like to run into the wall as well as run forward. It just makes it easier for me. This also isn't very practical at all, but it's just a neat little thing to mix up your movement or something for something like hot potato. Anyways, the main takeaway here is that timvault is broken and you should just abuse that. The next thing I want to talk about is the weapon most commonly used in this game, the knife. This thing has a pretty generous hitbox, but a slower travel time compared to the gun. When throwing the knife, it's important that you predict where they're gonna go, instead of throwing at where they are in the moment. It's also important that your own movement is predictable to prevent your opponent from hitting you. A lot of players, including myself, like to jump around a lot, which is why it's usually better to throw your knife at a straight or upward angle. That way you can catch them while they're in the air. Make sure to do this as you're falling or on the ground. If you're jumping around and they're not, you can angle the knife downward a bit, just make sure you're not hitting the floor. Also, take note on where your opponent is relative to you. You don't have to angle your throw as much if your opponent is closer or straight ahead. You don't have to just throw the knife though. You can also stab with it. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the stabbing in this game, because to me it feels like pure RNG. With that being said though, here's what I like to do when I'm being rushed down by someone. First things first, do not run or jump in a straight line, because as your opponent is spamming their stab, sometimes they'll accidentally charge a throw, and that thrown knife goes straight to you. When you're being chased, try to sprint around them in a circle, and let them come to you. Don't be the person initiating the stabbing. I'm speaking from experience. You will almost always lose. The only exception to this would be if you time a timvault correctly, because whenever you roll, you actually have some invincibility to any knife or gunshot that hits you towards the end of the animation. On top of that, there's a very small window where you can access your knife while invincible. So if you time it right, you can timvault to not only catch people off guard, but to kill them while being protected. Let's talk about the guns next. So guns have a much smaller and much less of an active hitbox. However, the gunshots have nearly no travel time at all. With guns, you still want to predict where your opponent's gonna go, and since your shots are nearly instant, you don't have to angle them as much. Also, take advantage of the gun cooldown. Once you fire your gun, there's a 2-second window where you can't shoot. Take note of your opponent's cooldown, and right after they shoot, you can stand still to get an easier shot on them. Just be sure to move before the 2 seconds are up. And just like the knife, if your opponent jumps around a lot, angle the gun straight or upward. That's all I have for guns. They're fairly simple. Before I get into game mode specifics, I want to talk about this strat that I use a lot. I call it the AFK strat, and this works for both guns and knives. So how it works is that when you get chosen to fight, just don't move at all. This will cause your opponent to think that you're AFK and they let their guard down. And then right before you get your weapon, jump around or behind them if you have a knife, or simply move to the side if you have a gun. I don't know why this works as well as it does. I have so many clips of this, but there's also so many times that I've done this off a recording. It's insane. Now let's get into some game mode specifics. I'm not going to mention standoff, random, or grudge because it's just 1v1s, and I already covered gun and knife techniques. First off, we have chaotic and guns blazing. These are the game modes where everyone just goes wild with either guns or knives. I don't have much to say about these game modes because they're sort of like luck based. With that being said, try to stay hidden, sneak into a corner, and kill everyone who gets near that corner. So whatever you do not be in the middle because that's where everyone's aiming. Just try and hold off until it's just a 1v1, then you can use your usual techniques. Next up we got Murder Mystery, which is definitely one of the easiest game modes. All you have to do is go in first person and use your spatial audio to determine how close the shot is and where the shot came from. And then if you're the murderer, just kill the people that are further away from you and vote out the people that are next to you. Now hot potato is interesting. Little fun fact, potato has less gravity than the knife, so it has a slower speed but more linear accuracy. Now for hot potato, you always want to keep yourself as far away from the potato as possible. This is one of those instances where the timvault comes into play. What I like to do is wait until the potato gets close to me, I then timvault and sprint around after that until my jump comes back. I then jump around until the potato gets close again, and then repeat the cycle. The reason I do this is so that I'm always moving. I don't want to waste my sprint before I timvault, because once I do, I then have no jump and no sprint stamina, which makes me very vulnerable to someone chasing me down or throwing a potato at me. If you get the potato, just stay calm, predict their movement, and throw or chase accordingly. Sometimes I just hold still with potato, because no one's trying to hit me, so it makes aiming easier. And when chasing, just try not to be caught running in circles with someone, because that usually doesn't work out well. Juggernaut is very similar in the sense that you just want to be as far away from the attacker as possible. So just apply that timvault and sprint strat I showed for Hot Potato. If you are the Juggernaut, try not to focus too much on going in for stabs because everyone moves around so much, so it's hard to get a connection. Instead, try staying back and throwing the knife. In smaller and medium-sized maps, everyone's going to be grouped together, so you'll almost always guarantee a couple of kills in the first few seconds. And again, don't just let people run you in circles. Handle is one of my personal favorite game modes because of its reliance on good hand-eye coordination. So what you want to do is first, notice how the green area moves left and right. What I like to do is try and anticipate where the area is going to go before it actually moves. And the pattern that I've noticed is that if the area is closer to the right end, it'll most likely go to the left end next, and vice versa. There's something else that's important, especially for when the green area is smaller and faster during the later rounds. When moving your bar into the green area, it's better to go past the green area than to stop before it. That way, the bar can fall back into the green area instead of falling short and missing it. Next up is Doom Balloon. I'd say it's a little bit of luck, but it's mainly a test of patience. First things first, do not focus on the size of your balloon. Size does not matter here. You need to listen to how the balloon sounds. The higher the balloon's pitch is, the closer it is to popping. And over time, you'll know. You'll find that area where it's best to stop. What you can also do is angle your camera near your opponent so you can listen to their balloons and adjust accordingly. Also, if you want to play a bit of mind games, start inflating your balloon really fast, and then slow down, stop even, when you get to that really high pitch. Everyone will see your balloon, and will inflate their own very fast. They then go too fast and pop their own balloon. I don't know why this works as well as it does, but I guess it's all just, mind games. Last but not least, we have Rochambeau, and I'm going to explain this one by talking over a round that I played. But before that, we need to understand how Rochambeau works. So these are the 3 possible combinations of hands that you can have, assuming you don't repeat one, for example going double rock or double paper. And just like regular rock, paper, scissors, each set of hands has its own counter. For example, let's say my opponent goes rock, paper, and I go paper, scissors. I have the better hand here, because my paper can either beat out their rock, or tie with their paper. And right here is what I like to call an advantage state, because I have an option that guarantees me safety. In this position, you pretty much always want to go with your safe option. For here it would be paper. Now let's just say that I was on the other side. Let's say I was going rock, paper, and my opponent went paper, scissors. So now I'm at a disadvantage state because, again, their paper can beat out my rock or tie with my paper. So what I can do is notice that their safe option is paper, so my best bet is to go paper. However, they could go scissors and try and beat out that paper, but again, if they're a good player, it'll probably be unlikely because, this is their safe option. But people can mix it up sometimes, so if you're able to anticipate that, then you can try and catch them by, going rock to beat out the scissors. But again, you're already in a disadvantaged state, so it's pretty much a gamble. But I like to go with their safe option, just because I feel like it's just logically it's just better for them. And again, for each set of hands having a counter, rock, paper is beaten by paper, scissors is beaten by rock, scissors, and rock, scissors is beaten by rock, paper. So let's see how this plays out in an actual game. I go paper, scissors, and my opponent goes rock, paper, which puts me at an advantage state. I go with my safe option, and my opponent also goes with my safe option, which means we just have to fight to the death. And then I lose because I suck at this game. But anyways, that's all the game modes, so let's get into the random facts. Here's a way you can skip like half the obby. You run along this wall, jump to the second cat, and then timvault to the end. Also, if you time a roll right as you hit the bottom of the obby, it'll actually keep your momentum and catapult you upward. The timing is pretty strict though. On top of that, if you time a timvault right as you hit the bottom, it'll keep your momentum and send you even further. And if you angle it correctly, you can skip the moving candles. The timing on this is much stricter than a normal roll. You can wall run up to the wooden beams on the ceiling of cafeteria, and they make a pretty good hiding spot. You can also wall run and then wall hop onto the lantern at church, and you're able to jump to the middle lantern as well. This tree and forest makes a really good hiding spot. If you go to this corner of the library, angle your camera downward and zoom out, you can actually hear the chattering teeth that sit next to the spin wheel. Anyways, that's all I got. I really appreciate you guys for taking the time to watch this poorly edited video, and I genuinely hope it helps you out. So yeah, have a great rest of your day or night.